Iran has launched a new, powerful attack on Israel and American forces in the region. The first details. The war in the Middle East has clearly not gone according to the Pentagon's plan. The American president made a sensational announcement about ending the conflict with the Islamic Republic. What is America preparing for the end? The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued a stern message to Trump and American troops, according to the CIR. The U.S.'s NATO ally has closed its skies to aircraft participating in the operation in Iran. The first details. We'll tell you more about the latest news from the Middle East soon. This is Denix Info. Subscribe and like. We're getting started. The
Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued a stern message to Trump and American troops.
U.S. President Trump has repeatedly threatened Iran with a ground operation and the occupation of several islands in the Persian Gulf. There is no doubt that the U.S. president has become a pawn of the Zionist regime's prime minister in his aggressive war against Iran, unleashed under pressure from the terrorist organization Mossad, which is using his connections in the Ebesdine case. The U.S. president, who has been called the most dishonest president in the world and a man of neither intellectual nor verbal stability, is completely untrustworthy, Unfortunately, American leaders have entrusted command of the armed forces to a man whose inconsistent actions and dangerously misguided decisions have led the military to the pit of death. Trump, whose commanders and soldiers risk their lives daily in the region, fearing assassination, fled their destroyed bases and took refuge in cities where people live and where the economic centers of the region's countries are located. And, of course, they will also be in danger there. He and his senior commanders from the crumbling American army expect resistance from commanders and soldiers on the battlefield 1,000 kilometers from home. Trump escalates the situation in the morning, then backtracks later that same day. He talks about negotiations, only to decide to escalate the situation a few hours later. This fickle and deceitful man has caused enormous harm to the people of America, Europe, and other countries around the world, especially in the Middle East. The U.S. president has proven that he understands only the language of force. In response to Trump's recent threats to launch a ground operation or occupy part of Iran's territory, which are nothing more than wishful thinking, we declare that the warriors of Islam have long awaited these actions. They will demonstrate that aggression and occupation lead only to the humiliating capture, dismemberment, and disappearance of the aggressors. American commanders and soldiers will become easy prey for the sharks of the Persian Gulf. It would be better if Trump, as well as U.S. leaders and commanders, the American military once studied the history of Iran and learned a lesson from how the valiant Iranian people resisted invaders throughout their history. They did not allow their soldiers to be captured or condemned to death because of the delusional ideas of an unstable American president. They did not allow the American people to mourn en masse. Iran's powerful armed forces eagerly await the moment when they can destroy your army. If the American president, the embodiment of delusions and lies, carries out his threat.
Tensions along Israel's northern border have sharply increased after Iran, together with Hezbollah, carried out coordinated missile attacks. Air raid sirens sounded in Haifa, Netzesia, and several nearby towns, warning residents of incoming missiles. News. According to Israeli Channel 12 large fires were reported at the Bazan oil refinery in Haifa after the impacts. It is currently being determined whether the facility was directly hit or the damage was caused by debris from intercepted missiles. Additionally, a fresh drone attack was recorded against a key U.S. military facility in Baghdad, indicating a further escalation. If the cause of situation in the Middle East, a drone armed with explosives struck the U.S. Air Force Base Victoria, located near Baghdad International Airport. This facility is considered one of the main U.S. military and logistics hubs in Iraq. coordinating troop movements, air operations, and various defense missions. According to Iraqi security services, the strike was followed by a powerful explosion, followed by a fire. Eyewitnesses reported a thick black smoke rising from the base into the night sky. Emergency services were quickly dispatched to the scene and managed to contain the fire shortly afterward. Meanwhile, the President of the United States issued a statement hinting at a possible withdrawal of U.S. forces from Iran, but emphasized that this could be preceded by a major strike on the country's infrastructure. According to the head of the White House, harsh actions are possible if the agreements with Iran are disrupted, including the destruction of key energy facilities. He mentioned potential strikes on power plants, oil fields, and the strategically important Hark Island, which plays a vital role in oil exports. And Donald Trump stated that serious negotiations are currently underway with what he called a new and more reasonable regime to end military operations in Iran. He also noted that some progress has already been made. However, a final agreement is not yet guaranteed. His statement emphasized that if an agreement is not reached soon, which he said is quite likely, a harsh response will follow if the Strait of Hormuz is not immediately opened to free navigation. The Trump noted that in such a case, the so-called U.S. presence in the region could culminate in large-scale strikes that would destroy power plants, oil facilities, Hark Island, and possibly even desalination plants, which, according to him, have not yet been affected. He published this statement on the social network Truth Social and caused a widespread outcry due to its extremely harsh rhetoric and threats against key Iranian infrastructure. Meanwhile, while Trump threatens Iran with attacks on Hark Island, Iranian media have published new footage of military exercises focused on the defense of strategically important islands in the Persian Gulf. The video was distributed by the Fars news agency, which is affiliated with the Islamic Republic. As part of these maneuvers, forces of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps practice scenarios for defending island territories that are key to controlling sea lanes and energy routes. Particular attention was paid to possible attacks from the air and sea, as well as the comprehensive repulsion of strikes using various types of weapons. According to the information presented in the materials, the exercises involved unmanned aerial vehicles, missile systems, and units capable of operating in high-threat environments. Electronic warfare elements aimed at suppressing enemy reconnaissance assets and targeting were also practiced. Such exercises are primarily conducted to demonstrate the readiness of Iranian forces to defend island territories, which are considered strategic control points in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. A significant portion of global oil supplies passes through this region, so any activity there is of significant international significance. Amid general tensions in the region, such exercises are perceived not only as combat training but also as a political signal. Iran is demonstrating that it maintains a high level of military readiness and is capable of defending key facilities in the coastal and island areas. Overall, the publication of this footage underscores the ongoing increase in military activity in the region and a show of force that is directly related to the current situation around the Persian Gulf. The conclusion is that Iran is not only training to defend strategic territories but also signaling its readiness to act in the event of any escalation. Furthermore, the U.S. NATO ally made a surprise move. Spain announced it was closing its airspace to U.S. military aircraft that could be used in operations against Iran. Reuters reported this, citing official sources. Spanish Defense Minister Margarita Robles emphasized that the country does not permit the use of its military bases or airspace for activities related to the conflict in Iran. According to her, Madrid does not intend to participate in or in any way facilitate military campaigns in the Middle East. This decision reflects the overall position of the Spanish government, which distances itself from escalation and does not support involvement in the current conflict.